All right, today we're doing a deep dive into two of the absolute titans in AI coding, OpenAI's Codex and Anthropic's Claude Code. We're going to put them head to head to figure out which one is the right coding partner for you. Let's get right into it. So right off the bat, this is the central question you have to ask yourself, because it's not just about features, it's about philosophy. Are you looking for an AI coder that you can just hand a task off to, like an autonomous agent? Or do you want a partner that works with you, side by side, like a collaborator? How you answer that is going to shape everything. Okay, so first up, the new AI teammates. We need to talk about how we got here, because we've gone way beyond simple autocomplete. We're talking about a whole new way of working. Yeah, the whole game has changed. These coding assistants aren't just little helpers anymore. They're becoming what you might call agentic engineers. They can take a big, complex idea, map out a plan, and actually execute on it. It's pretty wild, and it's why you see over 1 million developers using tools like Codex every single week. And this new approach has a name: agentic engineering. It's basically this idea where you act more like a manager, delegating these big, chunky, end-to-end tasks to an AI agent. It'll dig through your code, build new features, run tests. It can even manage a whole team of other AIs. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is how software is getting built right now. So that brings us to our next section: delegation versus collaboration. This really gets to the heart of the matter, the core philosophical difference between these two tools. And honestly, this might be the single biggest practical difference between them: where your code actually gets run. With Codex, your entire project gets zipped up and sent to an isolated sandbox in OpenAI's cloud. Nothing runs on your machine. For security, it even shuts off network access while it works. Claude Code is the complete opposite. It works right there in your local terminal. Your code never, ever leaves your computer. This is a huge deal, especially if you're working with sensitive code or have strict compliance rules. And that difference in where the code runs leads to two totally different ways of interacting. Codex is all about delegation. It's the fire and forget model. You give it a job, it goes away and does it, and then comes back later with a finished pull request. Claude Code, on the other hand, is like having a pair programmer sitting next to you. It's constantly checking in, saying, okay, here's what I'm thinking of doing next. Is that cool? It keeps you in the loop every single step of the way. All right, so we've talked philosophy. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the performance and price showdown. Let's look at the benchmarks, how efficient these tools are, and what that means for your wallet. This table gives us a really nice, quick overview. We've covered a lot of this, but notice a couple of other things here, like how they handle multiple agents, and that they use different configuration files. That might seem small, but it can be a real headache if you're trying to use both. Now, when we look at the raw performance benchmarks, things get really interesting. On some tests, they're neck and neck, but on others, like this one, Terminal Bench 2.0, you can see Codex has a pretty clear lead. This tells us that for tasks that involve a lot of terminal commands and debugging, Codex seems to have an edge right now. And then there's this number, 4x. This is huge. For basically the same task, Claude Code can use up to 4 times as many tokens as Codex. And since tokens are what you pay for, this has massive implications. Why? Well, it's because Claude is so chatty. It's constantly explaining its reasoning and asking for permission, and all that text burns through tokens like crazy. So let's talk about what that 4x difference really means for you. Both services have that familiar $20 a month plan, but with Codex, because it's so efficient, that $20 will get most people through a month of heavy use, no problem. With Claude Code, if you're a power user, you can hit those usage limits really, really fast, which might force you to upgrade to a more expensive plan. So it's the same price tag, but a very different value proposition. Okay, so we've laid out the philosophy, the tech, the performance, the cost. Now for the big question: how do you actually choose your coding partner? Let's figure out which tool is the right one for your specific workflow. So you should probably go with Codex if you're the kind of person who just wants to delegate. You want to say, hey, go build this feature and then come back later to review the finished code. It's also fantastic for rapid prototyping because it's so efficient and it plugs beautifully into automated CI/CD pipelines. And of course, if you love the idea of a secure cloud sandbox that never touches your local files, Codex is the one. But on the other hand, you're going to want to choose Claude Code if you love that interactive, pair programming vibe. It absolutely excels when you're wading through huge, messy code bases where context is everything. If you have to refactor something that touches dozens of files, Claude is a lifesaver. And as we said, if your company policy or security needs demand that your code stays local, well, then the choice is made for you. But here's the thing. You might not have to choose. A lot of developers are landing on a hybrid approach. They use Claude Code's incredible ability to understand deep context when they're planning out the architecture of a new feature. Then, once the plan is solid, they hand off the actual grunt work of coding to the super efficient Codex. They might even use Codex at the end for an automated code review before merging. It's the best of both worlds.
So where is all this going? Let's wrap up by talking about the future of development. We are really looking at a brand new workflow for a totally new era.
And I think this quote just absolutely nails it. At the end of the day, you can look at all the benchmarks you want, but the best tool isn't the one with the highest number. It's the one that just feels right, the one that fits into your personal workflow like a missing puzzle piece. And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. As the software we build gets more and more complex, what kind of AI help are you going to need? Are you going to want a crew of autonomous agents that you can just delegate tasks to? Or will you need a team of skilled collaborators that you can brainstorm and build with side by side? The answer to that is probably going to define the future of software development.